I'm afraid of the dark, not the dark itself, but what lurks in it. With great power comes great responsibility. Being able to read minds would be a nightmare. If people are constantly thinking about food, wouldn't my days be filled with hunger pangs? Or worse still, what if they're thinking about sex? But being a mind reader might be preferable to being a mind knocker. It was just after midnight when the radio crackled alive in Daniel's small apartment. He hadn't touched the dial. In fact, he had been asleep on the couch, a half-empty glass of water by his side. The sound wasn't music, nor the static background he sometimes left playing. It was a voice. If anyone is listening, do not go outside. I repeat, do not go outside after 1 a.m. Daniel sat up, blinking. He checked the clock on the wall, 12:46 a.m. At first, he thought it was some kind of prank broadcast, like those late-night ham radio operators who love to spook insomniacs. But the voice was too sharp, too urgent. It continued. They move in silence, but you will hear them if you pay attention. The scraping, the tapping, they search the empty streets. Once they know you're there, it's too late. Daniel's skin prickled. He glanced toward the window. The city outside looked normal, dark, quiet, the occasional car headlights sweeping past. Remain inside. Cover your windows. Do not answer if they knock. Then silence. The broadcast cut off. He tried to laugh it off, but his throat was dry. He lived alone on the 5th floor of an aging apartment block. The neighbors were quiet. The building always felt a little too empty at night. Still, curiosity got the better of him. He turned the dial on the radio. Static, music, an advertisement for car insurance. Nothing unusual. No strange warnings. His phone had no new notifications. Social media was full of the usual chatter. No emergency alerts, no trending disasters. And yet, 12:59 a.m., something tapped at his window. Daniel froze. The glass pane rattled lightly, as if a branch had brushed against it, but there were no trees outside, not on the 5th floor. Slowly, he crept closer. The tapping stopped. The city street below looked deserted. The street lamps glowed pale yellow. Then, faintly, he heard it. Scraping, like fingernails dragging against concrete. The sound drifted up from the alleyway below. His pulse quickened. He grabbed his phone and started recording a voice memo. If this is some kind of joke, it's not funny. There's something out there. I heard it. The scraping grew louder. 1:07 a.m. The knock came. 3 slow, deliberate raps on his apartment door. Daniel nearly dropped his phone. He hadn't heard footsteps in the hall. His building always groaned and creaked, but this knock sounded intentional. He whispered, "Who's there?" Silence. He approached the peephole cautiously. His stomach dropped. The hallway was empty. But when he pulled away from the door, he swore he saw movement, like a shadow stretching itself along the wall, slithering toward the ceiling. Another knock, harder this time. Daniel stumbled backward, nearly tripping over his coffee table. The radio flickered on again. "Do not open the door. Do not engage. They cannot come in unless you invite them." His hands shook. He hadn't turned the radio on. He shut off the lights, heart hammering, and crouched in the corner of the room. He tried to steady his breathing, but each inhale sounded too loud. The knocks stopped. Then, silence. The kind of silence that feels unnatural. No humming refrigerator, no distant cars, just a heavy, oppressive nothing. And in that silence, he heard it again, scraping at the walls, climbing. Something was outside his window. 1:24 a.m. The glass shivered. Daniel crawled closer, phone flashlight trembling in his grip. He wanted to catch proof, something to convince himself he wasn't hallucinating. He flicked on the light and aimed it at the window. For half a second he saw it. A pale hand with too many fingers pressed against the glass, leaving streaks like frost. A face leaned forward, featureless, except for a mouth that stretched too wide, teeth like broken glass. Then it vanished. Daniel screamed and dropped the phone. The radio hissed again. Do not let them see your face. They remember faces. 2 a.m. Daniel's apartment was completely dark now. He had pulled blankets over the windows, shoved furniture against the door. His chest ached with every breath. The scraping and tapping came and went. Sometimes it was above him, sometimes below, sometimes right outside the door. But worst of all was the whispering. It sounded like his own voice. Daniel, open the door, just for a second. It's safe now. He covered his ears, shaking his head violently. You're not real. You're not real. Then came a whisper so close, it felt like it was inside his skull. We only need one invitation. 2:37 a.m. His phone battery had drained to 3%. He typed a message to anyone he knew, but no signal went through. His Wi-Fi was dead. And then a sudden crash. The radio toppled from the shelf, hissing with static. Through it came a voice, different this time. Daniel, listen carefully. You must survive until dawn. They only walk between 1 and 5. Once the sun rises, they fade. Do not open the door. Do not remove the blankets. Do not look directly at them again. The static swallowed the transmission. 3:12 a.m. Daniel dozed off against the wall despite himself. He dreamed of hallways without end, doors that led to nowhere, and eyes watching him through cracks in the floor. When he woke, someone was standing in his living room. It was him. Or rather, it looked like him. Same hair, same pajamas, same trembling hands. But the figure's eyes were hollow pits, and its mouth curved into a grin too sharp, too eager. Finally awake, it said in his exact voice. Why fight it? Let us in. We'll make it painless. Daniel lunged for the radio, twisting the dial desperately. A burst of static, then the urgent voice returned. Do not look at it. Shut your eyes. He squeezed his eyes shut, hands clamped over his face. The floorboards groaned. Footsteps circled him. He fought the urge to scream. When he dared open his eyes again, the figure was gone. 4:46 a.m. The whispers had grown fainter, the scraping less frequent. The first hints of dawn pressed weakly against the edges of the curtains. Daniel was trembling, exhausted, drenched in sweat. He crawled toward the window, desperate to see the sun. And then his phone buzzed. A new notification. Emergency alert. Stay indoors until further notice. Do not acknowledge voices. Do not open your doors between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. nationwide broadcast. His stomach turned cold. He hadn't imagined it. This was real. 5:01 a.m. The radio clicked alive one last time. You survived this night, but remember, they know your face now. They will return tomorrow, and each night after. The transmission cut to silence. Outside, the sun climbed above the horizon. The city returned to life, cars, horns, morning chatter, as if nothing had happened. But Daniel knew better. Because in the reflection of the window, just for a second, he saw another face behind his, grinning, waiting.